What's up, everybody? This is Max from Splice, and today, instead of cleaning my room, I'm going to show you 5 tips for mixing modern rap vocals. I want to give a shout out to the artist OOMAN, and this song is called Rice. Okay, so let's hear kind of what we have so far. It sounds something like this.
I like my beats dipped in gold. Ring ring, I'm off stage, got paid, wanna get laid. Picking up, I'm here in the lobby, dripping on me, wash it down with sake. In the mood, wanna do it sloppy, you can top me. Body is aki. Body is ah, give me top.
Okay, cool. So the level is a little low and the vocal is not really cutting through. So my first 2 tips are going to deal with my most important, in my humble opinion, 2 tools for mixing, which is EQ and compression. Okay, tip 1 is going to be compress everybody. I like to put a glue compressor on the full vocal bus, so I have, the lead and the ad-libs and all that kind of stuff in this group. So I'm going to put a glue compressor here, and I'll probably end up just using a normal compressor. You can use whatever compressor you want, but I'm just going to go with the stock Ableton ones for this. I am going to first add some compression to the lead vocal, and then I will compress the entire vocal bus so that it sounds nice together. So this on the lead is going to be so that it cuts through.
Flesh dripping down, look at my best.
So I'll use a peak, and I'm going to adjust the threshold down. I really like this nice visualizer on the Ableton compressor.
Flesh dripping down, look at my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body T, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth.
And we can see how much action is actually happening, how much gain reduction is going on here. So we noticed that it peaked somewhere around 8. So I'm going to put my output, I don't know, maybe 5, something like that. That way our peaks will still go down, but the overall level of the audio will be raised. So it's going to cut through a little nicer. So let's see how that sounds.
Stage, got paid, wanna get laid. Picking up, I'm here in the lobby, dripping on me, wash it down with sake.
Maybe we can do a slightly longer attack, and we can move the threshold down a tiny bit more.
Stage, got paid, wanna get laid. Picking up, I'm here in the lobby, dripping on me, wash it down with sake. In the mood, wanna do it sloppy, you can top me. Body is aki.
Very nice. Okay. So now we'll go to the glue compressor on the full vocal bus. So this is going to be to get the overall level of the entire bus looking right. Let's loop this section and set this. What I'm going to do is dial the threshold down until I see this compression meter start to move. I'm going to probably be aiming for around 5 dB here, but we'll see how it sounds. And then I'm going to re-add that with the makeup gain. Kind of the same way I set the settings on this compressor too, but it's going to be a little less aggressive because I'm doing this on the entire bus. So let's move the attack up a little bit.
Flesh dripping down, look at my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body T, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth. I come out, I make the news. I come out, I make the news. I come out, I make the news. Body down, blood is the life. Give me pipe, never play wife. Cut the lines, do it precise. Get on stage, turn up the mic. Get on stage, turn up the mic.
Okay, so we can actually already hear that it cuts through a lot better and that the vocal sounds a lot more clear and intelligible. Let's listen without.
Dripping down, look at my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body T, the cooch is wet.
And then let's listen with.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh dripping down, look at my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body T, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth. I come out, I make the news.
Love it. Just dynamics. Simple. Tip number 2 is going to be to use a shelving EQ on rap vocals. My favorite EQ is Pro Q3. I think you'll find a lot of people really love this EQ. I'm going to go ahead and put it right on the group bus and then see how everything is looking and listen to it.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh dripping down, look at my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body T, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth. I come out.
All right, cool. So the main fundamental frequency of her vocal is really here. We don't need this sub. All this is really doing is taking away space from the sub in the instrumental. So instead of just completely cutting that all off, like with an intense filter, I'm going to just shelve it. So I will use the shelf and then boom, move it down to how I want it. So this means that at about 100 hertz, we're going to be dipping about 10 dB right now.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body tea, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth, I come out, I make the news, I come out, I make the news, I come.
So that doesn't even really sound very different, but that's fine. We don't really want it to sound different. We just want to get rid of the sub that we don't need in the signal. I'm going to also shelf the other side, so we're going to do a little high shelf instead of a low shelf. So I can use my handy dandy command key here and adjust the Q and just shelve some air here so that the vocal will really cut through. So let's listen to how this sounds.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body tea, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar.
That's really aggressive. We're not going to do quite that much.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body tea, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth, I come out, I make the news, I come out, I make the news.
If your signal ends up really fatiguing, I would not end up doing this, but if you need it to cut through a little bit more, which is I think what we need on this particular track, this is a great way to do it with a high shelf. So let's listen to the difference between the EQ and not. And actually, I'm going to put the EQ before the compressor so that the signal from the EQ goes into the compressor. That way it'll just be a little bit more, intense. Okay, so let's listen to how this sounds with and without.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh.
That's without, and then with.
Everybody want the vibe, the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh, the body tea, the cooch is wet. Spit the bar, get in the booth.
All right, it's actually not even really that different, which is fine. This is a pretty subtle change, and what this is going to do is leave us a little bit more room for the sub in the instrumental while also making the vocal stick out a little bit more when we add our air. So that's tip number 2. Okay, so the third tip is going to be to remove silence from between your ad-libs. And this is really impactful. It's something I don't think everyone necessarily does, but I hope they do. If you're a beginner at mixing vocals, especially rap vocals, make sure you do this, especially on ad-libs. All right, so I was going to show you 3 ways to strip silence, but I'm only going to show you 2. There's a Max for Live device that I just tried to use, which crashed my live when I tried it, so I'm not going to bother with that anymore. I am just going to show you the 2 ways that I was originally going to, which is by manually chopping them or by using a gate. So manually, pretty easy. I mean, I'm going to go with my Command 4 hotkey so that it gets it off the grid. Let's listen to our ad-libs here.
What happened?
Okay, see, all this is just basically headphone bleed or extraneous noise that we really don't need in our final project. So you see kind of what I've done already here. This clip is deactivated. What I like to do so that I don't lose anything is use my Command 4 hotkey so that I put it off the grid. You see how when these lines are dashed, then I can highlight, sort of off the grid. Here, it's a lot harder to do that when the grid is back on. So I'm going to turn it off the grid, highlight the sections I want to be silent, and then press the 0 key. And then just go through all my ad-libs doing that.
What happened?
And if you really want to get fancy with it, you can zoom into each and fade them out. This is probably going to be a little bit more pro.
You picking up? In the mood.
See, we don't need that. So let's do this.
You picking up?
And we can even fade that.
You picking up?
Much better.
In the mood.
So I'm just highlighting and then pressing 0.
You picking up? In the mood. Body is Aki. Body is ak. You could pipe them. I know.
Okay, let's take a slightly less work intensive. Let's say you have a ton of ad-libs. I probably wouldn't mind doing these manually. As you see, I kind of did do a lot of these manually in preparation for doing this video. But instead of that, let's say you don't have a lot of time, for example, we'll take a gate and just drop it on there. What a gate is going to do is it's going to attenuate the audio under a certain threshold The return is how much space between the threshold and when it stops working. Excuse me. Okay, so another way that we can do this if we don't have a lot of time, for example, is to take a gate. I'm going to drop the gate audio effect right on here. And what I want to do is set my threshold at a level between where the signal is and where the noise is. So let's listen to the ad-libs.
The bad flesh. The bad flesh.
Notice how I want to set the threshold so I can hear everything.
The bad flesh.
And
Look
then
at my best.
now I'm going to raise it up.
I make the news. I make the
Okay. Such that the signal is passing through, but the noise is not. So anything that's above this threshold line is going to pass, and anything that is not going to pass.
The bad flesh.
So we really don't want this, like choppy kind of sound. So we can make the settings a little bit less aggressive.
The bad flesh.
Okay, that sounds fine. But notice how when she said the second the, it kind of ducked down. So let's move the return down a bit.
The bad flesh. Look at my best.
And we can move the release up a tiny bit too.
The bad flesh. Look at my best. First flesh. I make the news. I make the views.
So as you can see, this is going to be a little bit less precise than chopping it all individually, but it can still be a good option to use a gate. One, for extra credit, what you can do if you really like, if you think you dialed the gate in perfectly already, you can flatten and freeze the track. And that way you will have no audio effect here, but you will have silence in between, like actual silence where the gate has worked. I don't really like to do this because it's a destructive edit. So if you got some of the gate settings wrong, then you might be screwing yourself. So in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and go through and remove all the silence manually. Don't forget to check back over your work if you're going to do it this way. Like, make sure you listen back to what you did.
The bad flesh. Look at my best.
Okay, let's take the gate off. Sorry.
The bad flesh. The bad flesh. Look at my best. First flesh. I make the news. I make the views. I make the news. I make the views. I make the. Turn my mic. Turn my mic. Turn my mic. Please and thank you.
It's also nice while you're going through and doing this to check and see if
Please
you
and
really
thank
want
you.
all these ad-libs. Sometimes maybe you can get rid of some. Not these because they're perfect.
Ooh. My heart. My paper. The track is the truth. Crazy.
Cool. Okay, the next tip, don't be afraid to sample yourself. So the artist, when she recorded, ended the verse with this really cool bar, if it's broke, put it in rice then, but she didn't have a hook. So it sounded like
I know
this.
you don't like them. Next time I won't be so nice then. It's broke, put it in rice then.
Okay, so what we did was take this little part, I moved it over so that it would go right into the hook. So it sounds like this.
Next time I won't be so nice then. It's broke, put it in rice then.
Okay, so we got that. It's broke, put it in rice then. And I had her record that a bunch of times. So she did basically this.
Broke. It's broke. It's broke. It's broke. It's broke. It's broke.
Yep. And then just Command D'd all that out. This formed the hook. So just here, we just found a good one.
If it's broke. If it's broke.
Command D it at here at the correct place. Yeah, exactly. And just keep doing that. I also varied whether it had the if in here or not. And I had her record back over everything with this rice lyric.
Put it in rice then. Put it in rice then. Put it in rice. Rice. Put it in rice. Rice. Put it in rice. Put it in rice.
This might be more of a tracking tip than a mixing tip, actually. But if you are finding yourself struggling to find what your hook is going to be, and you have a cool bar in your song already, just repeat it. Don't think about it too hard. It's great. And sometimes, she's just repeating one word here, but it sounds lit. So give yourself the freedom to be creative and be playful with it, and don't think that it always has to be too hard. It's really easy to overwrite songs, and if you believe in what you're saying and you think it sounds cool, I think it's not easy to underwrite them, if that makes sense, at least for hooks. Okay, maybe it is easy to underwrite them. All right, we might leave that part out. But don't be the tip is, don't be afraid to just use the same word as your hook, and even just Command D it and resample it if you want. No one is going to come to your house and arrest you for doing that, hopefully. Okay, tip number 5 is going to be to use an effect track. So this is pretty small but really effective. On this track, I had a driver with a telephone voice preset. So that sounds something like this. I really love this little plugin from Native Instruments. It's called Driver. That sounds something like this. I'm going to turn the delay off for this.
It's broke, put it in rice then. Everybody want to buy the flesh, dripping down, looking my best. 100K, perverse the sesh.
So you hear it distorts it so that it sounds like it's coming out of telephone. That's really awesome, especially for ad-libs. I love that effect. And I added a quarter note delay here, or half note delay, I guess, here. So that...
Get on stage, turn off the mic. Turn off the mic. Turn off the mic. Turn off the mic. I said turn up my mic. Turn up my mic. I said turn up my mic. Turn up my mic. Turn up my mic. Turn up my mic.
Cool. Anytime you have a line that you want to emphasize, or like, let's say you don't have a bar for the next measure or something like that, or if you want to repeat it but just with a little more emphasis, you can just chop it straight out of your normal vocal track and put it on your effect track.
Dice, get on stage, turn up the mic.
So I just took this get on stage, turn up the mic, put it bam right on the, well, I dropped it in the wrong place, but this is where it's supposed to go, so you get what I mean. And it sounds something like this.
Dice, get on stage, turn up the mic. Get on stage, turn up the mic. I said turn up my mic. I said turn up my mic. Please and thank you. Ooh, ooh. If it's broke.
Actually, maybe this ooh could go there as well.
Mic. Please and thank you. Ooh. If it's broke, put it in rice. If it's broke, please and thank you. Ooh, ooh. If it's broke, put it in rice. If it's broke, put it in rice. It's broke.
Love that. Or actually, maybe even.
Please and thank you. Ooh. If it's broke, put it in rice. If it's broke, put it in.
Nice. The effect track is a pretty easy one to understand, and probably something that a lot of people already do, but I wanted to make sure to throw it in because it's super helpful for organization, and will help you move fast during the mix session. That's really great, especially if you're live mixing like with the artist there. You can get a vibe going really quickly, and then dial it in later if you really want to. Okay, and then one more bonus tip I'm going to add for you is cut a hole in the instrumental with the EQ for the vocal to live. So this instrumental is kind of busy. There's a lot of vocals going on, a lot of vocal samples happening. It's M4A, so it's not a lossless file, you know. Sometimes as mix engineers we have to deal with this. So let's see, I have a little drum bus, a little utility on here, but we're not going to talk about those right now. I just wanted to say, take this EQ, find where your vocals are cutting through at, and then cut a hole in the instrumental with the EQ for the vocals to sit in. Okay, so here we go. Let me pull up the EQs on both the instrumental and the vocals. Great, so on the left here, I have the EQ that's happening to the instrumental. On the right, I have the EQ that's happening to the vocal. And what I'm going to do is get the histogram from ProQ. So I will kind of hold my mouse under here until it makes me a histogram, and it will show me where most of the frequencies of the vocal are happening and where they're cutting through at.
They wanna do what I do. Call you my heart, I can't do without you. Call me a babe, call me a boo. Give me a shot and I don't need a chaser. I just be living and stacking my paper. Give me my dues, screaming the booth. I'm on the record, the track is the truth. The track is the truth. When I'm on stage, all the bitches go crazy. I'm on the earth with the bros who made me. I never need a broke nigga to save.
So we see that in both of these tracks, there were peaks around 1.3 kilohertz.
They wanna do what I do. Call you my heart, I can't do without you. Call me a babe, call me
1.3 and 1.4. So that might run into each other, and those frequencies could clash. So around the 1.3K range, I am going to put a little bit of dynamic EQ, not too much dynamics even, but something like this, on the instrumental. That way the vocal has a little bit more room to cut through. Instead of boosting and potentially increasing the frequency masking that could go on, I'm removing the frequencies from the instrumental so that the vocal has a better place to sit.
They wanna do what I do. Call you my heart, I can't do without you.
And with Pro Q, you can use this little headphone thing to hear exactly what the EQ is doing or exactly what the action region is. This is really helpful.
They wanna do what I do. Call you my heart, I can't do without you. Call me a babe, call me a boo. Give me a shot and I don't need a chaser.
So this is really what we're turning down, and this only. And it makes sense, right? Because we hear mostly vocal, and we want the vocal that my artist recorded to, cut through, right? So let's turn this down a bit, and then now it should sit a lot nicer.
They wanna do what I do. Call you my heart, I can't do without you. Call me a babe, call me a boo. Give me a shot and I don't need a chaser. I just be living and stacking my paper. Give me my dues, screaming the booth. I'm on the record, the track is the truth. The track is the truth. When I'm on stage, all the bitches go crazy. I'm on the earth with the bros.
It's a subtle effect, but for me at least, it's a lot easier to hear the vocal and for it to be intelligible. Like the recorded vocal, I mean, not the instrumental sampled vocal. It's a lot more easy to hear and a lot more intelligible when we take this cut out. Okay, cool. So there you have 5 amazing, simple, but effective mixing tips for mixing modern rap vocals. Tell me your best mixing tip for mixing rap vocals in the comments. Watch out for Rice by OOMAN when it drops on streaming. And I'm going to go clean my room now. Thanks for watching.